Hi everyone, welcome to the Whiteleyverse with me, Connor Whiteley, for another daily short story. Now, before I start today's story, please remember to like, comment and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any new content, and the engagement really helps the Whiteleyverse with the YouTube algorithm. Also, if you want to buy this short story and any of my other fiction, then they're available from all major ebook retailers and at your local bookstore and local library if you requested, and you can order paperback copies from Amazon. Now, here's today's short story. I hope you enjoyed just as much as I did writing it.
A Chocolatey Way to Go. Out of all the different cases retired Detective Kendra O'Connor had investigated in her decades as a cop, death by chocolate had to be the strangest she had ever seen. She supposed being a part of a cold case task force that solved the Met's weirdest, strangest, and hardest cold cases, she should have expected something like this to come across her at some point. But death by chocolate, seriously? As Kendra sat at a small booth and metal table in her favorite cafe in all of London, she nervously tapped a pair of plane tickets in her hands as she waited. Kendra didn't like being this late or having things arranged at this short notice, but apparently it was urgent. Even the amazing hints of coffee, cream cakes, and chocolate hazelnut spread wasn't helping to relax her, because all Kendra wanted was to be driving to the airport, so she and her husband could fly to the Caribbean and board her cruiser for 2 weeks. But oh no, when retired Detective Jeff Long had called her last night extremely panicked and begged Kendra to solve one more case, she wasn't going to refuse him, no matter how much her husband begged her not to. But as Kendra had firmly said to her husband and Jeff, a taxi would turn up for her at the cafe at midday exactly, and when it turned up she was going. There was no telling her otherwise. Thankfully that had relaxed her husband, but Kendra understood why he was concerned, and she even hated herself a bit. The number of date nights, birthday parties, and even Christmas dinner she had been late to over the decades was ridiculous. She should have tried harder to be a better mother, wife, and friend. But she was determined to start making up for the past today. The sounds of other people laughing, talking and joking with each other on the different rows of tables only made Kendra tap her plane tickets more and more and more. Jeff and retired officer Patricia Nelson had to hurry up soon, or they would never solve the cold case before Kendra had to leave. As Kendra heard the door open and close, she forced herself to relax when she saw Jeff in his long black business suit, shoes and perfectly combed hair hurry in and sit at the table with her. Then a few seconds later, the 70-something Patricia hurried in and whipped out her high-tech laptop. Kendra was glad these two were trying to help her by being quick. Then Kendra looked at her watch. They had 45 minutes to solve the case. "Thank you so much for doing this," Jeff said. "The police commissioner is steaming. We need to solve this case now." Patricia took out a thick police file and started spreading it out over the table, and Kendra instantly started reading it. She couldn't believe how foul the murder was. It seemed like a marketing director of a major London-based chocolate firm had been drowned in chocolate and poured into a mold and left to harden. Then the next morning the chocolate bar was cut into, and the body simply popped out. That was disgusting. Kendra couldn't even begin to imagine who would have done such an awful thing to a person. Sure, when she was in the police, she had had to deal with her fair share of hate, sexism, and outright discrimination, but she never ever wanted to kill any of them in this way. As she looked at one of the photos from the medical examiner, it showed how the lungs had been filled with hard chocolate that the medical examiner had to investigate and peel off. Kendra was really glad she didn't have to do that. 40 minutes left. Kendra started to flick through the suspect, and to her utter annoyance, the police detectives on this case hadn't done a very good job. Minimal forensics had been done, and most of the employees hadn't been interviewed for one poor excuse after another. "This isn't going to be easy," Kendra said. "What do you two think? And tell me more about the victim." "Sure, hon," Patricia said. "I think the real key is the way the victim went. Why pour chocolate onto the body? Kendra had to agree that was weird. There was plenty of easier ways for the body to disappear, but that was it. The body didn't disappear. Also, why kill the marketing director and stuff him in a chocolate bar that was going to be cut open the day after? Kendra asked. Good point, Jeff said, flicking through the interview transcripts. How public was the chocolate event? Kendra asked. It was all over the social media and website and newspapers around the time of the murder. 5 years ago, hon. So if the killer wanted to embarrass the company, they clearly had an opportunity to do so, Kendra said as she focused on the crime scene photos. 35 minutes left. But Huns, who would want to kill the marketing director? He wasn't powerful. He was great at his job, but he had no say on the business's running, and he had a deputy that would automatically replace him? No chance of another company wanting to embarrass the company then? Jeff asked. Kendra cocked her head. That was a good point. If another company wanted to take out the competition, so to speak, which in London happened a lot more often than people wanted to admit, the chocolate bar opening would have been a great opportunity. But it wouldn't have done anything. The marketing director would have been instantly replaced, and as Kendra looked at the notes, it didn't seem like the deputy was less capable. Apparently, the deputy was the former head of a public relations department, so surely the deputy could have easily weathered the storm of bad PR. Is the chocolate firm still running? Kendra asked. Patricia nodded. Kendra was hardly surprised, but it meant that the idea of killing the marketing director to cripple the company was dead in the water, or chocolate, so to speak. 30 minutes left. Kendra gently put her plane tickets down and focused on Jeff. Whatever happened to the deputy or new head of marketing? Jeff smiled and leant forward. Case file says the deputy was interviewed under caution for the same thing you're thinking. But there's a catch? Patricia leant closer too. The catch is the deputy was passed over for promotion, and it was a well-known fact that the boss of the company would never make him marketing director. Kendra nodded. That was odd, and yet again that killed their theory of the deputy killing the director for his job. Who else would benefit from killing the marketing director? Let's do the basics. Wife? Kids? Life insurance? Kendra asked. Yes. No and no, hun. Who's the wife and could she have done it? Kendra asked. No, hun. She's extremely allergic to chocolate and dairy. Apparently, even being in the same room as it made her break out into a rash. Kendra just cocked her head at that. She honestly felt sorry for the woman. That must have made for some awful welcome homes to her husband from time to time. And yet Kendra felt as if she was the one who was being awful and failing. She was trying to get justice for the wife, friends, and victim, but she had to go off on her holiday in 25 minutes. No. Kendra forced herself to take a deep breath. She was going to be a good wife today, and she wasn't going to let her beautiful, sexy husband down. Kendra was going on holiday. The wife's in the clear. But could she have hired someone? Kendra asked. But hun, why kill the man how he was? Jeff clicked his fingers. The medical examiner said he drowned after being knocked unconscious with a large bar. Presumably of chocolate. Kendra just shrugged. I think we're looking for someone who loves chocolate at extreme levels. Kendra wanted to nod, but she couldn't imagine anyone loving chocolate enough to use it like this. Hun, what if the killer was a maker? Kendra and Jeff looked at each other and stared at Patricia. How? Well, hun, chocolate makers at this company make chocolate from scratch, she said, pulling up the website on her phone and showing it to Kendra. Kendra nodded. No, look, Patricia said, pointing to a section on the website that told Kendra about the entire loving process. 15 minutes left. Really? You think someone took it too far, Kendra said. Yeah, hun. Kendra wanted to completely dismiss the idea as silly. No one, absolutely no one could love chocolate that much to actually want to use chocolate to kill someone. But during her time with the task force, she had seen weirder things than this. Then it would have to be a chocolate worker in power. Presumably the murder happened when no one was about, Kendra said, double-checking the police file. She was right about the time of death. What about the chief chocolatier, hun? He was cleaned, Jeff said. Kendra looked at the few police interview transcripts the original detectives had been bothered to do, and one of the last few caught her eye. What about the deputy chocolatier? Kendra asked, pointing to his transcript, and Kendra pointed to the first paragraph where he kept banging on about how glorious chocolate was and how mere mortals didn't respect it enough. 10 minutes left. Patricia and Jeff just looked at each other. Kendra couldn't blame them for doubting her. It all sounded so crazy, and of course there was a matter of motive. Kendra kept reading the transcript just in case. Why would the deputy do it? Jeff said, sounding stressed. 5 minutes left. Kendra kept on reading, but she could feel her heart pumping madly. She had to solve this now and help get justice for the victim. She couldn't go on holiday without knowing what happened. She had it. Kendra stood up. Look here. The deputy clearly says the marketing director was a fool and never should have gotten the job in the first place because of his arrogance and feelings of superiority over chocolate. 1 minute left. Jeff and Patricia stood up and frowned. Kendra knew it all sounded so mad and crazy, but she was right. She knew it. Then Jeff nodded and got out his phone. Kendra looked out the front door of the cafe and smiled as she saw her taxi pull in front. She was going on holiday. As Kendra sat in the wonderfully cool taxi holding her beautiful husband's soft hands, Kendra couldn't help but feel amazing for helping to solve the cold case. Because of her, she had helped bring justice and closure to the friends, wife, and most importantly, the victim. She couldn't believe how tense everything had been, but she loved working under pressure. Kendra was able to work miracles, according to Jeff, and as her smartphone pinged, Kendra was thankfully right. According to the amazingly short text from Jeff, the then deputy chocolatier was arrested and confessed to the murder on the grounds of crimes against chocolate. The man was clearly in need of professional help, but Kendra hoped the killer got it. She knew all too well the difficulties of mental health and the amazing work professional help did, so she hoped the killer would better in time. But with the crime solved, justice and closure given to everyone, all Kendra wanted to do was get to the airport, fly to the wonderful Caribbean, and go on her cruise. And most importantly, spent plenty of time with the hot, sexy man who she married decades ago. She was really looking forward to that, and as she kissed him, Kendra knew he was too. But she was probably going to stay far, far away from chocolate after this case, and who could blame her?
Welcome back everyone, it's me again, Connor Whiteley. So I really hope that you enjoyed today's story, because I flat out love writing, creating stories and sharing them with you. If you really enjoyed today's story, then please remember to like, comment and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any new content, and the engagement really helps the Whiteleyverse with the YouTube algorithms. And if you want to buy this short story or any of my other fiction, then they're available from all major ebook retailers, and you can get them from your local library if you requested, and you can order the paperback copies from Amazon, your local bookstore or local library if you request it. Lastly, if you want to support the channel on a one-off basis, then you can now buy me a coffee at buymeacoffee.com/Connor Whiteley. Also, if you know anyone who would enjoy today's story, then please share it with them. I'm always really grateful when you wonderful people help spread the word about the channel. So, thanks for watching the Whiteleyverse, and I'll see you again soon. Have a great day, everyone.